Welcome to the Wolverine Digest podcast, the best spot for objective and authentic coverage of Michigan athletics. If you want open dialogue, honest opinions, and in-depth coverage of the maize and blue, this is the podcast for you. And now, here's your host, Brandon Brown, joined as always by Chris Brett.
I was going to start by saying go blue.
Welcome on a Wednesday night. I think we moved it back to Thursday last week, did we not?
We did.
We're happy to be back on a Wednesday evening. Sean Bennett drinking since 3 o'clock on a Wednesday, not advised, but thank you for being here. Appreciate that. Jeez.
Been drunk all day, gentlemen.
He's out there sucking it down, folks.
Why not? Why not?
I mean,
is there any reason not to drink all day? Can you really think of a good reason?
In here tonight. What is that all about? I'm finally getting some family love. Chris's family's been in like every single episode. His family loves him. His wife loves him. His mom's always been here.
Wow.
I'm not sure my family even knows what I do. So there you go. Happy to see my sister in here. I think my cousin was in here last week. She said hi too. My wife's running around upstairs.
It's a family affair.
Can't hate on it too much, but we're back.
We will, Sam. You know what? We got a couple things to talk about. We will talk about Friday. Maybe just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Teaser.
A little teaser. You gotta
just a little.
I gotta try to massage the teat a little bit. You have to massage the teat. And look hey, guess what I brought back because it was such a good day. I brought back the Man Mosa. Man Mosa has made a return. So it's going to be a fancy evening here.
Man Mosa Wednesday. Chris's pinky will be flying high. Feeling good. Feeling
very good.
About a lot of things.
It was a good day.
Well, first and foremost, I see Eric has already, how many Santa jokes are we going to do on this guy? We'll do a couple. He's making a list. He's checking it twice. He's got a lot of big things to do at Michigan.
He does.
But the University of Michigan has its 15th president in the form of Dr. Santa J. Ono. And I've just started learning a little bit about this guy within the last day or two when his name was when there was actually a name finally attached to the leading candidate for the position. And then, of course, today when Michigan made it official, posted a little bit about it on the website, did some reading about this guy. It's like so many other people at Michigan, even some of the student athletes that we get to know. I know we had like his name is escaping me right now, Chris, the gymnast we had on, Paul Judah. We had Paul Judah on the show. We've had other people on the show. Like how accomplished can one human being be? That's how I felt when I read about Dr. Ono and him becoming Michigan's president. I mean, when you read about the fact that he taught at Johns Hopkins, he taught at Harvard, he taught at University College in London. He's on the board of some of the biggest companies on the planet. The dude is insanely accomplished when it comes to the academic side of things, makes him very, very, very a very easy choice to run a school like Michigan, to be at the top, to be the president of the university. Very, very qualified. But then you throw in the fact that the dude loves sports, and there's a freaking clip of him out there crowd surfing. It's just amazing. Now, I know a lot of people had beef with President Schlissel. He was an academic guy, didn't really get involved with the sports thing, and then of course, his exit was certainly less than positive. But we'll leave it at that. Now you get a guy like President Ono in there who seems to be a lot of things that President Schlissel was not, and people are excited. And this is how I generally judge something like this, Chris, because I'd be lying if I said like I know all the daily responsibilities and what the president at the University of Michigan does. I know exactly how this is going to affect this A, B, and C. I don't. I flat out don't. But one thing I will say is whenever a hire is made like this, and you hear virtually nothing negative, I haven't heard a negative anything about this dude. And I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm sure there's some things out there that if you really dug in deep, people at Michigan or people in the know would be like, well, this is how he feels about this. I don't think that's a great fit at Michigan. I don't know. Maybe some of those things will come out, but less than a day in, I have heard absolutely nothing negative about this guy. and lots of positives. One being that he loves sports, loves football, and is going to be involved with things. And I think that means home run as of right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard things like rock star, associated with a guy like that. And I mean, I think there were some people on social media that were quick to point out, like, they didn't think it was going to change everything for the University of Michigan from an athletic standpoint, especially as it relates to NIL. But I do think it's a big deal when you hire somebody who is a little more forward thinking and who does seem to place, an importance on the athletic side of things. And that's been missing at Michigan for quite a while. So, the proof will be in the pudding, and we'll see how things ultimately transpire. But on the surface, it looks like a really good hire, and people are excited about it. And that's what you want out of a hire like this. And so I think it is a huge step. Like we put the article out earlier this afternoon, it is a big step in the right direction, I think, for the university overall.
I think that's the perfect way to put it. I mean, I'm not expecting him to come in and like, oh, tomorrow Michigan's throwing the bag around NIL wise. Like, dude, he's the president of the entire university. Sports and football, while on the list, it's not at the top. It's not at the top for a guy like this. And honestly, it shouldn't be. He's got other things to deal with. First and foremost, the academic side of things when you're talking about a place like Michigan. And that's great. That's fine. That's how it should be. But again, I haven't heard anything bad about this guy. When you hear him speak about certain things and you read through his laundry list of accomplishments and accolades, it seems like an awesome move and one that I think a lot of people can get behind. And like I said, the fact that everybody who cares about Michigan is probably caring about Michigan because of sports. Just hearing that he likes sports is fine with those people. Like, that's it. They're cool.
Yeah.
What he does, in all the hundreds of other areas that he's going to have his hands on over the next 5 years. He signed a 5-term deal. That sounds like that was a sports term. He signed a 5-year deal, but a 5-year term is what he's going to serve. He's only 59 years old, so he's not a very old guy. He's been he's the president and vice chancellor of the University of British Columbia as of. I'm not sure if he'll still do that now that he's at Michigan. I would assume he can't do both, right? But anyway, that's kind of how he was introduced. And then, again, you read through all the lists of things that he's been able to accomplish and what different boards that he sat on. His specialty is experimental medicine with a focus on the immune system and eye disease. So that's a pretty specific area. But again, super smart dude, has done a ton of really good stuff in a ton of really prestigious places. And now he's running the show at Michigan. And I think that's a good deal. And again, the sports angle is just an added bonus because when Michigan is hiring a president of the university, I don't really think the sports part plays a huge factor. Like right. It has to, the Michigan football pays for a lot of stuff at U of M. There's no doubt about it. So it has to be in there. But I mean, when you're coming off of having a president like Schlissel, it's clearly not the most important thing. And like, that's not meant to be a dig. I know Schlissel did a lot of dumb shit when he was at Michigan, and a lot of people don't like him, but whatever. I'm just saying that he wasn't a sports focused guy, and he was hired and for a while did a pretty decent job. I know it kind of went downhill over the last couple of years, but the fact that he, the new guy, Dr. Ono, is into sports, all the better. And so I think a lot of people are pretty excited about this. So there you go. Like I said, I'm not going to pretend to be super educated on what he's all about and what the president really does on a day-to-day basis at Michigan.
Do we look like we know? Do we look like we're the kind of guys who know what the hell happens at that level? No. We're doing a podcast from our basement.
I have this on my soundboard. I mean, let's be honest with each other. All right?
We don't know anything.
That's where we're at.
Pulled it out, showed it to you.
We did. And that's all we're trying to do is pull it out and show it to you. And that's what we're trying to do every night. All right. The other piece of news today, which, look, man, Michigan's been pretty hot on the recruiting trail lately, Chris. 2 weeks ago, we did a show. Yep. Michigan's recruiting was in the tank, 13th in the Big Ten. And look, I'm not saying like, all of a sudden it's amazing and everything is perfect, because it's still not. But Michigan has now reeled in 4 4-star recruits since we did that show. And the most recent was today. Eno Etta out of Texas, top 100, top 150, top 200 type of player, depending on where you look. 250-pound edge guy. Michigan State wanted him really, really bad. So anytime you can stick it to the Spartans and land a guy, of course, that's a plus. And this was a little bit of a roller coaster. There were some up and downs whether or not Michigan was going to land him. He had some beef with some people in the Michigan market, which was a joke, if we're going to be honest and call it what it is. But now, as of today, he is a Wolverine. And as of today, Chris, this is where I'll get your take on things, not on Eno specifically, but Michigan is now 9th in the Big Ten, okay, up from 13th, but still behind Michigan State, Penn State, and Ohio State with the number of 4-star players that it has in its class. I believe Michigan has 5 now. Michigan State has 8. Penn State has 11. And Ohio State has 14 and 2 5-star guys. So, again, Ohio State kind of doing what Ohio State does. But Michigan is trending in the right direction, and I think that's worth talking about.
Yeah, well, and even a week ago when we were talking about how things weren't the way we wanted them to be, we would still acknowledge that A, the sky wasn't falling, and that B, Michigan was still going to recruit well because it's the University of Michigan.
I don't think we were in panic mode at all.
We flat out said the sky was not falling. Correct.
Concerning things to pay attention to for sure, but not
sure. Sky not falling, and Michigan will still finish with a top 5 recruiting class in the conference. And we talked on the phone earlier today. I still believe that's the case. Michigan's headed that way. Michigan's always going to recruit well because it's the University of Michigan. Go back and look over the last 2 decades. Look at, Rich Rod and Brady. I mean, Michigan has always recruited well. It's never been an issue, but what we were referring to were some of our beefs with NIL and how that's going. But I think those are 2 separate things. At the end of the day, Michigan is going to recruit well. We know that they're going to do that. And you got to give them their flowers. You got to give them credit for the big commitments that they've had over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, no, there's no question. I mean, landing 2 edge rusher guys.
Can I say this about Etta, though? Gained 40 pounds over the last year. 40 pounds like the right way, not like the way, guys like you and I gained 40 pounds in a year, but he gained the right kind of weight. He's a dual sport athlete. I think he was, a really good basketball player. These are the kind of guys you want and the kind of guys that Michigan has developed a track record of sending to the league. And so it's not a surprise to see, look at David Ojabo, look at guys like Kwity Paye and Aiden Hutchinson. It's not a surprise to see Michigan sign these types of players.
Yeah. I mean, when you're an edge rusher, a developmental guy, I mean, it's hard to find a place that you'd rather go, besides Michigan. I mean, when you look at, you mentioned Kwity Paye, now Aiden Hutchinson, David Ojabo, even a guy like Mike Dana, who came over from Central Michigan and found success at U of M and ended up getting drafted. I mean, you're not going to take a lot of credit to that because he was really good at CMU, but you look back at every guy who's played that position over the last handful, Chase Winovich, Rashawn Gary. I mean, the list goes pretty far back. If you're an edge rusher who's developing and learning to play that position, you'd be hard pressed to find a place better than Michigan when it comes to getting better, playing on a big stage, playing against really good competition, and getting to the league. Michigan's been able to do it with guy after guy now at this point. And so now the next 2, kind of in the fold, especially when you talk about developmental and getting better. Achiampong for sure. The dude's only been playing football for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And now Etta kind of in that same mold as maybe like a Kwity Paye, somebody who's learning the game and getting bigger and stronger and faster. And then both guys can look to all these different players that Michigan has had and say, well, if they can do it, I can do it. And so that's a pretty good start. Then you go back a little further, Amir Herring, the interior offensive lineman who committed during the show last week, and Samaj Bridgman, the linebacker, the week before that. So that's 4 4-star kids over the last 13 days. And so, yes, that is something worth talking about. That's noteworthy. That's a nice little hot streak on the recruiting trail that they needed. I mean, frankly, they needed it because before that, we already talked about the numbers and where Michigan was. And yeah, there's lots of time, dude. There's lots and lots of time for Michigan to continue to pick kids up on the recruiting trail. They're going to have a good season, which is going to get a little bit more of attention as you go along. And Michigan's probably going to be just fine. But there is still a but out there. It does have to do with NIL. It does have to do with the pay for play approach. It does have to do with this transformational versus transactional. We're not going to spend a ton of time on it tonight because we talked about it before. They're riding a wave of positive energy right now. So I don't think that's the time to talk about it, but that stuff is still out there. And there is still some stuff that will come up, and that if you guys ask about it in the comments, we'll talk about it, but it's not on our manifest, if you will, right, Chris, that we need to speak about it. What is on our manifest here, coming up for,
well, okay. All right. I don't even know how to say it. Listen, If I were to tell everybody,
this is your baby. I'm going to let you do your thing here.
If I were to tell everybody exactly what's going to happen, I think I'd have to kill everyone. I'd have to kill all of you. And I don't want to do that because we need you for these are all the viewers we have. So if we kill you, it'll just be Brandon and I sitting here. But
we've done that before though, too.
Look at that. We have done that before. This week, Friday, I'll just say this, pay attention, follow Brandon, follow the Winged Helmet, follow along with what we're doing on Friday, because quite frankly, you're going to see content there that you're not going to see anywhere else. It's going to be incredible. I think we've teased it enough already, so people kind of have a general idea of what's going on, but I think just wait till Friday, wait till you see what happens. It's going to be a pretty incredible thing. And like I said, I don't think you're going to really see it anywhere else. And so you're going to want to tune in. Just basically whatever plans you had for Friday, cancel them. If you had to go into work, call in sick, and just sit by your computer or your phone all day. That's all you got to do.
All day? You're asking people to do that all day, huh?
3-day weekend.
3-day weekend.
I mean, let's be honest. We're checking the internet all day anyway, right?
Well, I don't know how much we want to say, Chris. The VIP of that unfolding on Friday is in here commenting right now.
Yes, he's in here. I can see it. Yeah, look, people seen the photos. I'm sure they have a general idea, basically, of what might happen or what could happen. All I can say is you'll find out for sure on Friday. That's when you'll know.
Oh, that's. Oh, sorry about that.
Wait, did you just take the form of Tom Cruise? No, that had to have been the man Moeller. Goose.
All right.
I don't care what you say. I know that song is cheesy. That shit gets me fired up.
Oh,
gets me fired up. Danger Zone?
It's a good one. I'm ready to
sweating a little bit.
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go right now. Okay, that's all. That's all we really want to say about it right now. I mean, that's
all I think. I don't know what I can or can't say. That's the problem. I'm in a precarious position here. I'm not sure what I can or can't say. All I can say is it's going to be really cool.
It's part of that, and I think part of it is we don't really know yet. Like we're kind of waiting. Yeah, we're kind of waiting and seeing a little bit about exactly.
Like I said, you guys would be surprised at how little we know.
Well, would they be surprised?
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Right. Should we get to the fans? Should we get to the questions? I see them rolling in here.
Yeah, let's take a look at some of this. I mean, it's been a lot of comments. I haven't seen quite as many questions straightforward as we typically do. Going to talk about Friday's event. Yeah, we did that a little bit. Spartan Dogs not so happy on a Wednesday. Yeah, Eno said I'm gonna go ahead and go to Ann Arbor instead.
Sean, you probably saw that video.
Sean not feeling my orange shirt. It's like a salmon. It's like a, I don't know. It's not orange.
Nah, man, it looks red. It looks red from over here.
It does look pretty red on the.
It clashes with the whole vibe.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. Darren's asking about the pay incentives for good play on the field. I don't know if it's as direct as there's play incentives for, like a reward program. I think it's been talked about more generically. Like if you do well on the field, you're going to be presented with more opportunities. I mean, that's kind of how I've taken it, Darren, unless you've heard something a little more specific somewhere where it's an actual like bonus program. That I don't think is what we're talking about here. But I mean, it is kind of interesting that maybe one of the higher paid players on Michigan's roster is the backup quarterback. That's been, like when the message is come to Michigan, establish yourself, make plays on the field, get recognized and get paid. It's like, well, how's JJ the highest paid player? And I don't know if he is for sure. Yeah. I don't know if JJ McCarthy is the highest paid player on Michigan's roster, but I know he's doing well. And he's not even the starting quarterback at this point. So that is something that we will definitely keep an eye on. Oh, yeah, Jaden Davis being reclassified to 2023 is something that has been kicked around. I mean, ultimately, that's going to be up to him and his family, his academic approach. Like, is he even prepared and able to, reclass and graduate a year early in order to enroll? I mean, you're seeing it more and more with these top flight recruits. They want to get out of high school. They want to get to college, start working on that NIL stuff and start getting prepared for the next level. We saw it with Quinn Ewers just a year ago, did it in went to Ohio State for 6 minutes, stole a bunch of money, and now he's playing at Texas. So anyway, I don't know how all that's going to go. It's different at every place. Some high schools don't even allow it. I mean, there's some private schools, private academies out there that don't allow graduating early. So I haven't dove into Jaden Davis's specific situation enough to know exactly how that's going to work. But there has been some discussion that with Michigan missing on Dante Moore in 2023, that Jaden Davis becoming a 23 recruit and then picking the Wolverines would be.
But can we say this?
Actually a wash.
Can we say this? Yes, it would be great. But we talked about this on the phone earlier today too. And I guess I didn't realize this, that, Michigan hasn't had a quarterback taken in the first round since the 80s. And it was Jim Harbaugh was the last one, right? The last offensive player to go in the first round was in 2005. That was Braylon Edwards. And so if he can reclassify to 2023 and Michigan can get him, I think that's great. But I think it's not just NIL. I think there's a lot of layers why you're seeing Michigan miss on some of these highly rated offensive talented guys, but why they're still landing guys like Etta. It makes sense if you have seen what's been going on with the Michigan program over the last 2 decades.
Yeah, and kind of on that same vein, the barbecue at the Big House is, I believe it's the last day, maybe second to last day. July 30th, I think, is when that is scheduled for. I don't have that list yet, AJ. I will attempt to start putting that together. This is one of those deals where it's like I'm not covering recruiting on a day-to-day basis, so there are still a few guys at Michigan where I can fire off a text and be like, "Hey, what about this? What about that?" But it's just not quite as I'm not quite as involved in it as I once was. So I will start paying attention on social as guys are announcing, like, "Hey, I'm going to be at the barbecue." You'll start seeing different people putting stuff out there. We'll try to put together a complete full list before that actually happens, but I don't have anything like that right now. So
Jared, I do see the clarification. Yes.
Away.
Skill player on the offensive side, not a skill player drafted in the first round since 2005.
Do you know what this question is referring to? When is the fall game? What is that? Were we talking about something? Montrell, if you want to specify your question a little bit more, we'll try to answer it there, but I don't know exactly what you're talking about. These guys, me and Chris, are you referring to me and Chris?
This fucking guy.
Somebody said we look like Illinois beat reporters with the orange.
I did see that.
We're in blue or black.
It's a
black.
It's a
blue.
Oh,
it is blue. Damn, we do look like we're covering the Illini. This is a cool question. More total yards this season, Blake Corum or TreVeyon Henderson?
I'll let you.
I'd probably go TreVeyon Henderson just because Ohio State's offense is more geared towards picking up big yardage totals. But I mean, Michigan's going to run the hell out of the ball. I'll say this: I think Blake Corum is going to have more rushing yards than TreVeyon Henderson. That's a tough question. I almost talked myself out of it right there. My first instinct was to say Henderson, but not by a lot. But I think Blake Corum is going to have a real shot there. But you also have to factor in the Donovan Edwards angle.
There it is. And I think that's the deciding factor right there is I think Donovan Edwards is so talented and so dynamic. It's going to be interesting to see how they use him. Do they put him out in the slot a little bit more? He's already proven he can, he's pretty good as a wide receiver. I think the fact that you have Donovan Edwards also vying for some time out there is probably why Henderson will have more total yards. But I think the combination of Corum and Edwards in the backfield is as good, if not better, than any other combo in the country.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. I'm excited to see how they use both of those guys. What type of situations are they going to be on the field together, which I hope we see that. I would love to have both of those dudes out there at the same time. We'll see how that ends up looking. Leading receiver. I think we've talked about this before. I'll throw it at you a couple different ways, Chris. We'll go receptions, we'll go yards, we'll go touchdowns. Is it the same guy? Is it 3 different guys? Is it one guy doing a couple? Like, let's do one at a time. Who will lead the team in catches? Who will lead the team in catches?
Ronnie Bell, unquestionably.
Okay. I think so too. I think it's Ronnie Bell because you can throw it to him at the line of scrimmage and let him make a play. He's tough enough to go over the middle, intermediate. He can get deep and break some tackles. And I mean, he can do it all. He can play in the slot. He can play outside. You can give it to him behind the line of scrimmage. Not much that dude can't do. So I'm with Ronnie Bell leads the team in receptions. Does Ronnie Bell lead the team in receiving yards?
I might give the edge there to Cornelius Johnson. I think he's a little more of a deep threat. You know, they showed last year the, excuse me, the whole flea flicker situation or whatever the hell they were doing to get Cornelius in the end zone. I think he'll have more yards than Bell, but I think Bell's going to get the receptions for the reasons you mentioned.
I'm go
joking over here on my man Mosa. I'm dying over here.
That a little too much pulp in there for you.
I should have gone no pulp in the man Mosa.
Pulp, dude. I'm going to go Bell. I'm going to go Bell to lead the team in both catches and yards. I mean, that's not like I'm not exactly stepping out on a limb there. I mean, I think Ronnie Bell's going to come back and have a big year. If he's healthy, if he's good to go from day one after missing virtually the entire season last year.
I mean, he sure as hell made a big splash week one last year. It looked like he was on his way to, what do they call it? Securing the bag? Is that what they say?
That's what it would have been.
Is that what the kids say?
And last but not least, touchdown catches. Who leads this team in touchdown receptions?
I mean, I could see that being, I'll give it to Ronnie. But I could see it being, I could see it being a running back that competes for that.
I could see it being Eric All.
I could see it being Eric All. I could see it being Donovan Edwards. I could see it being Blake Corum.
You know, Roman Wilson had 2 touchdown catches against Penn State last year. AJ Henning, they didn't use him as a true wide receiver as much as I would have liked. Any one of these guys is talented enough to get hot.
Have we even mentioned Andrell Anthony yet?
Andrell Anthony.
Have we even mentioned his name?
Might be the most talented of the whole freaking bunch.
Right.
I don't even know if I have an answer for that. I really don't. I mean, I could see a scenario where all of those guys have somewhere between 4 and 7 touchdown catches, and it's like, all right, I guess it was Cornelius Johnson with 6.
Right.
But it's that, you know, that room, the skill room in general, the receivers, running backs, and tight ends are just so versatile, so dynamic, man.
Loaded.
If only they had like a super talented, live-armed, like athletic quarterback who just had like a gunslinger mentality who wanted to throw around the yard. Yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, I like this question too. It's a pretty easy one for me, Chris. I don't know about you, but outside of quarterback, what's the biggest? And I don't even know if I would say that quarterback is the biggest concern because they got it done last year with Cade. Whether you're Team Cade or Team JJ, Cade got it done last year. So what's the biggest concern going into this season that could keep Michigan from getting back to Indy?
Are we talking position group? What are we talking?
He didn't specify, but
just overall.
For me, it is kind of a position group, but also like a concept as well. It's the same thing for me. Go first, and we'll see what you come up with.
Well, for me, it's the defensive front is what I'm most concerned with. I want to see. I know they got Mozzie Smith coming back, but they lost Chris Hinton, who I thought should have come back for another year. Doesn't matter what I think. Like I said, I'm in my basement doing a podcast, but I would have preferred him to come back and do another year with Mozzie. I think they could have done some big things. And so the D line to me is the most concerning. But defense overall, you know, what does that look like? What does the secondary look like? What does the corner situation look like? I think that side of the ball, you know, they were pretty damn good last year, and they lost 7 key contributors on that side of the ball. So that's an area, and a coordinator. There you go.
So yeah, I don't disagree with you. I'll be a little more specific, and I think it's the pass rush. I mean, when you lose guys like Ojabo and Hutchinson, I mean they've never. The Michigan defense has never had to replace as many lost sacks as they will in 2022. In all the years of those productive defensive lines, they've never lost that many sacks as they are with Ojabo and Hutchinson. So that's a tall task. You're asking a new D coordinator to put some new bodies in there and try to generate a pass rush that was really effective last year. That's a lot to ask.
You know what? CJ just sparked something in me. That too, you know, forget the defense. I think the defense will be fine. I think they'll figure it out. I think they'll be good enough to be competitive. What CJ just said, that's my concern. We went through all the wide receiver weapons they have. We talked about Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. We hinted at JJ McCarthy a little bit. I'm really curious what they do with all of this talent they have. It feels like they've got a garage full of Ferraris. And my hope is that they just open the doors and let them run. But and I think they're going to need to do that this year because of some of the things we talked about on the defensive side of the ball.
I really like the mixing of multiple analogies. Garage full of Ferraris, but you're letting them run.
Let them run.
Thought maybe you would have went with cheetahs or thoroughbred horses since we're talking about running.
Dogs.
Just a ton of talent in there. Let it free, man. Let it breathe. Open it up. Chris must be getting an echo. Anyway, let's see. Tim, are there any 5-stars that Michigan is still in on? Yes. 2 that seem to have legitimate interest in the Wolverines. One being Nicholas Harbor, the freak show athlete / defensive end from the DMV area. I mean, this dude is, he's like 260 and he runs like a 10.4 or some shit. It's bananas how athletic this kid is. And he's a phenomenal student. I mean, this is like, this is your crown jewel of the class if they can get him. And then there's Javion Toviano, the 5-star corner from, I believe he's from Texas, and he's got Michigan along with Texas in his top 5 or top 3. I can't remember the third school. I'd have to go back and look. But Michigan's in on those 2 guys, whether they get them or not. I think Javion Toviano already took his official to Michigan, if I'm not mistaken, and Harbor is expected to do so during the season. So, like, they're in on those guys. These are the type of dudes, though, where they're going to get insane opportunities to grab some money before they even get to school. And Michigan's not playing that game right now. So I feel like it's, this is one of the things that we've talked about. Like, one of the things that's being pitched is like Michigan is saying, whether it's Jake Butt, whether it's Jared Wangler, come to Michigan. Every player at Michigan is going to have the opportunity to earn a significant amount of money. That's what we can offer you here at Michigan. And it's like, dude, you can get that everywhere else, plus a bunch of money before you even get there. So what is this super unique thing you're
because
pitching?
It's the Michigan experience. That's the unique thing.
Does the Michigan experience and being in Ann Arbor and being part of that lore work on a kid from Texas or the DMV? I don't know. We'll see. Michigan's got a shot with these 2 dudes, and they are studs, absolute studs, both of them. Harbor, that's a created player in a video game. 6'5", 255, runs a 4.2. I mean, he's a freak. He's the freak show. But again, you look at what Michigan's been able to do with edge rushers, and you can pitch a lot to a kid like that. Look, you can be Aiden Hutchinson plus because you're already bigger than he was in high school or about the same size, and you're faster. Your metrics are going to be better than his by the time you get done at Michigan. Like, that's what you're telling a kid like that. And that's not even bullshit. It's not even blowing smoke. That's facts. So that's the kind of things you tell a kid like that, and you hope it works. And, we'll see what that looks like. But those are the 2 names that come to mind. There may be another 1 or 2, fringe 5-star guys, but those 2 for sure are giving Michigan a pretty serious look at this point as we get ready to move past the midpoint of July. I think we're in a dead period right now. And then the barbecue obviously is at the end of the month when the dead period is lifted, and then it's fall camp and, official visits for game weeks and stuff like that. So anyway, lots to be looking forward to on the recruiting trail now that Michigan does have a little bit of positive momentum moving into the dog days of the summer. Does Jaden Davis commit at the barbecue? It certainly sounds like that's possible. Apparently the kid was blown away while at U of M. He's been rocking Michigan stuff out there on the 7-on-7 scene, cleats and towels and gloves and headbands and whatever else. And if he ends up reclassifying to 2023, I think that would be like an almost dead giveaway that Michigan is trying to get him and get him now. Yeah. So that will be something to watch as we move towards the end of July as well. This is a fun question. I'm assuming you're talking about for the season coming up, right? But CS from the YouTube channel, the most underrated or unnoticed player on Michigan's team right now. Chris, does anybody come to mind for you right away? I've got a couple that came to mind, and I want to see where you're at with them.
The first name that hit me was Roman Wilson. I think Roman Wilson is, if you remember, his freshman season started, he was, I think, one of the most reliable targets for like the first 3 or 4 games. He really had a great start to his career. He's quick on the field. He had some big plays against Ohio State. People talk about Ronnie Bell and Blake Corum and JJ McCarthy, and all these guys get the attention for the right reasons. I mean, they're talented and they've earned that type of attention. But to me, Roman Wilson, I think he is a tremendous weapon. You know, if you get him in the slot, you get him in, you know, he can do a lot of different things on the field. I just think people don't talk about him enough. Trying to go with an underrated, unnoticed type of guy, Roman Wilson.
Breakaway speed, man. The flying Hawaiian dude run, you know, I think, if I'm not mistaken, might have the fastest 100-meter dash time on Michigan's roster. If not, he's right there. He's right there. You know, was a big track guy in high school. Like I said earlier in the broadcast, scored 2 touchdowns against Penn State. Those were on like short intermediate routes, but this is the kind of guy that can get behind the defense and make someone make someone scared in a hurry because of his speed. I'm going to go to the other side of the ball. When I read this question, the first name that popped into my head, Chris, and tell me if I'm crazy or what you think, it was RJ Moten. I think that dude is so good back there and so solid and so versatile. And he just kind of like, I don't know. You just don't really talk about him that much. Maybe it's because of the position. I mean, I think Brad Hawkins was kind of the same way. Very solid for Michigan, has played more football in a Michigan uniform than anybody ever. And you just didn't even really bring him up ever. He didn't have a lot of splash plays, never had an interception at Michigan, which is crazy for a safety who played as many snaps as he did. But RJ Moten, the way he's put together, the way he's built, you can put him down in the box. He does pretty good in coverage. He's a baseball guy, so he knows how to track a deep ball. I mean, this is a dude that I think you could see take a big step. He's going to be asked to be a leader this year back there with Rod Moore, with maybe another young safety. Maybe Will Johnson's playing. You're going to need a veteran guy like RJ Moten to play and play a lot. And he did that last year. He played a ton of snaps for Michigan last year and just seemed to do a really good job whenever he was out there. The only thing you might want to see is what we didn't see out of Brad Hawkins. Let's see some plays on the ball. Let's see some takeaways. Let's see some turnovers. Take your solid play into special play back there and really be, kind of take that next step. But I like everything about RJ Moten.
Yeah.
I don't think I can say anything bad about
his thighs are as big as my entire body.
Correct. Large thighs automatically makes him a better football player,
he's good.
Right? So he's good. That's exactly right. Which of zero? Cody, I'm telling you, Michigan's non-conference schedule is turd.
Nice. No. We like that. I'm fine with that.
With what?
I'm fine with the non-conference schedule.
Ooh, I mean, people who have to pay money for tickets aren't. Let's tell you that much.
Listen, I'm not trying to create any unnecessary trouble. Okay.
Hawaii, UConn, Colorado State.
Hawaii at night under the lights.
Michigan might win those 3 games by a combined score of 155-0.
You don't think it's going to get tight under the lights?
No, it's going to be bloodbath city for 3 weeks in a row. And if it's not, it's a problem.
Didn't we talk about that you and I could be quarterback for like the first 3 or 4 weeks and Michigan would go 4-0?
Dude, Hawaii almost folded up their program like laundry. UConn didn't win a game last year. They do have a new coach and a guy that I like a lot, Jim Moore Jr.
Careful now, Brandon.
They also have a transfer quarterback from Penn State. They're going to kill them. Michigan's going to kill all 3 of these teams. Crush.
Yeah. Well, who's number 4? Maryland, right?
Well, that's not non-conference.
Right. Right, but I'm talking about. But then that's the 4th game, right? I was talking about the first 4 weeks of the season.
That's the 4th game, and that one should be pretty lopsided too. Michigan beat the brakes off them in Maryland.
I'm not going to do that shit this year, where I'm like, oh, watch out for Maryland.
Nah,
they're that sneaky East Coast team out there. Ooh. Trash every year.
Sean Bennett. Sean with 2. That's 4 N's in the name. Sean Bennett. Too many N's, if you ask me. But he wants to know: does JJ throw more than 10 touchdowns this year, Mr. Breiler?
He better throw more than 27, as far as I'm concerned. Probably not. My gut says probably not. And it's not because he's incapable of doing it. I just don't think the offense is going to be conducive to allowing that to happen.
I'm so mad that my first thought is no.
Yeah.
Because he should.
He's got to win the job first.
That's it. That's part of it. And even if he, man, I would love to see JJ McCarthy throw like 34 touchdowns this year. Just torch the record.
How about this? Should we position it if he's the starter, if he wins the job, does he throw more than 10? I think Cade threw.
Well, I think that's a big part of him asking the question the way that he did. He's trying to snake a little bit.
Trying to be clever.
I mean, a guy with 4 N's in his name when there's only 12 letters.
All right.
He's trying to be clever all the time. All right. Chris, I want you to make Cody Ingo feel like a dum-dum. Can you do that?
Oh, goodness.
Here it is.
I like Cody. Cody's around
I do too, and that's why I'm picking on him.
I think
says that Ronnie Bell is going to have his worst year this year. Make him feel dumb, Chris, please.
No. He's too talented. He's too important to the team. Even though he didn't play last year, he was still a leader in the locker room. The guys look up to him. He is his worst year statistically, I would be blown away. I would think it would have to be another injury. It's not going to be worse than last year.
Yeah. Oh man, you guys are awesome, dude. I'm having like trouble getting back to where I even was at because it loaded all.
I'll just say this: I think this is Bell's bag year. I thought we saw what he was going to do. We got a taste of it last year against Western Michigan. We all know what happened, but we saw what he was doing prior to that. I think the dude's ready. I think he's going to pick up right where he left off. And again, I think he's going to lead the team in receptions. He's just too talented, especially in the slot, man. The guy can do a little bit of everything.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I think Ronnie Bell's going to have a really good year. You know, chomping at the bit, dude. Can you imagine? Can you just imagine how
painful feeling? That was? Yeah.
Yes, how he's feeling after the way last year went, dude, when he was killing it in the first game, freak knee injury, misses the whole year, and then they do what they did with him watching. Like, he has got to be just so geared up and ready to roll. And from what we've heard, he's a full go.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope he's out there on the very first play. It wouldn't even surprise me if he gets the first touch of the year.
Yeah.
Honestly, like if it's a slant, maybe it's a jet sweep, something to get him going and give him his confidence back and let him know, like, Ronnie, you're here, dude. You're part of us. We need you. Let's get it going. And yeah, I saw AJ. Chris, I haven't heard this. I don't know if this is from a message board.
I've seen it. He's been
apparently dealing with something.
Yeah, he's been rocking a cast, I think, on his right hand. Not sure how severe the injury is, but it's a good chance we might be able to find out in a couple of days when we see.
This is interesting, Jeremy. Quoting Sam Webb said that maybe on the radio or something, I'm not sure, but said that Dante's camp that if JJ is the guy this year and the offense explodes, there's an opportunity for Michigan to flip him away from Oregon. He is still paying attention. I was just told today on the phone that somebody very, very, very close to Dante, a lot of you can probably figure out who it is, that has a really close ties to Michigan, has said multiple times that the biggest thing holding him back from picking Michigan was not NIL, was not Oregon money, was not this, was not that. It was that he flat out doesn't love Jim Harbaugh's track record with quarterbacks in the NFL. And that one of his main concerns was the way things have played out with one Shea Patterson, a 5-star kid who was lighting it up at Ole Miss for a while, albeit in a lot of, bad losses and probably empty stats and things like that. But he was throwing that thing around the yard at Ole Miss as a true freshman, as a sophomore before
number 20
comes to Michigan, 20. Plays pretty well. I mean, does okay. Some of his 2 seasons at Michigan are some of the more productive ones.
Go look at the record books. I mean, his time here, yeah.
But then he doesn't go to the NFL, and he's essentially cut off the team in a fledgling USFL or whatever the hell the name of that league. He can't even cut it there. So you're talking about a kid who was the number 1 quarterback in high school, goes to Ole Miss, it doesn't work out, comes to Michigan, doesn't get drafted, and then can't even make it in the USFL. Now you can, if you're a Shea hater, you're going to say that's on Shea. He's just not any good. It's probably a mixture of several things. Maybe Shea was a little overrated, didn't develop like he should have, not quite as good as what people thought. But again, you can't discount the production or the lack of production at the quarterback position at Michigan under Jim Harbaugh. You can't. And when you're a kid like Dante Moore, that's not what you want to see. However, if J.J. McCarthy is your starter as a sophomore and he throws for 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns, that is going to change that narrative in a big way. So,
but just hearing you say that, it sounds so improbable. Like
it does.
But it does. And I hate that that's that way. Like, I hate that that's the case. Why does that seem so improbable? Like the question, will JJ throw over 10 touchdowns? Like the fact that we think that that's under, I don't know, man. I have a really big problem with that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I know.
And if that is the case with Dante Moore, I mean, who's Harbaugh's top quarterback recruit in the league right now since he's been at Michigan?
There isn't one. There isn't one. Yeah, so that's something you got to pay attention to, no doubt about it. There's not a lot of answers for this question, Chris, but I think we're probably on the same page. What game are you most nervous about for Michigan this year? From Zachary Murphy.
Well, here's what I'll say. Outside of the norm, like Ohio State, Michigan State, like we know that those are going to be fights. I'll say Iowa. That's Michigan's first big test. I think it comes week 5. So Michigan will certainly be 4-0. They're going to win the first 3 non-conference. They're going to beat Maryland, and then they're going to go to Iowa, presumably ranked in the top 10. And it's going to be a night game. It's going to be nationally televised, and Kinnick is going to be Kinnick.
Actually heard that game is more likely to be a noon kick than night game.
Noon kick? No.
Yeah.
No, there's no way.
Because there are already games that have times decided on that date. And for TV purposes, there's not really an available slot for that Michigan-Iowa game to be a night game, even though it hasn't been announced yet.
I'd be willing to put money on it. When we get off, we'll put money on it. That is going to be a night game. And even if it's not a night game, we know what it's like at Kinnick. We know what it's like at Iowa. That's just a really difficult place to play. Yes, CJ, we're going to be there. We're going to beat all the away games this year. And I'm nervous about that one. Michigan 4-0, top 10 ranking, going to Iowa City. I don't like it.
Yeah, that's the one that, I mean, if you ask anybody who looks at Michigan's schedule, I mean, of course at Ohio State to end the year, like that's the monstrous game. Of course, you've got to right the ship against Michigan State in the big house. But if you're using the word nervous, it's that Iowa game, man. That game on the road after 4 cupcake home games to start the year. Hopefully you've got some things figured out. You know, you're humming along on both sides.
It's the same way I felt about Wisconsin last year.
Yep.
And that's where I felt like you were really going to find out if Michigan was for real. And even the players that we interviewed, you talk about at what point last year did they feel like it was real? Did they feel like they were really going to do this thing? Wisconsin was the turning point. It seemed to be. A lot of guys point to that game as like, that's when we knew that we were on a path to do something special. And so I think Iowa is the same thing. If they go there and they take care of business and handle it, I think the rest of the season is going to look pretty good until you get to November 26th, and then we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Chris, I don't remember how much we talked about this because it was talked about, but thoughts on USC and UCLA joining the Big Ten in 2024? Like, it's kind of crazy that this is going to be so soon. I just saw a graphic today that the Oklahoma and Texas to the SEC is not going to happen until at least 2025. So the fact that USC and UCLA will be in the Big Ten in 2024, that's pretty quick. And I mean, those are 2 big brands, dude, and it's LA. So for those reasons alone, it's a big deal. But I mean, like, what were some of the first things that popped up when you saw that?
The first thing I thought of, Brandon, was that we're going to be going to California. And I. So we're going to be spending some time out in California. I'm a big fan of that. I'm excited about that. But in terms of like just these 2 programs joining the Big Ten, they're big name brands. They're recognizable brands. And I think overall, I love the addition to the Big Ten. What I'm concerned about is Michigan having to recruit against, now you're adding a USC to the pot against an Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan State. So, you know, you're adding in more competitors that are going to try to lure people away from your program. But overall, I think it's great. And I'm looking forward to, you know, watching USC come to Ann Arbor. I'm excited for that, man. UCLA coming to Ann Arbor, USC coming to Ann Arbor, and then us being able to go out west. I'm really excited for it. But yes, I could see how people would think logistics are a nightmare. There are definitely some concerns that absolute nightmare. Yes.
Chris, I'm so glad you said what you said. You sprinkled the recruiting angle in there a little bit, because I was talking to somebody on the phone today, and they said, you know, if this mega conference thing does take off in the next couple of years, and it sounds like it's certainly headed that way, we already see evidence of it with USC and UCLA being official, then you throw in probably Notre Dame to the Big Ten. If it doesn't end up being Notre Dame in the Big Ten, I'll be surprised. But
do you want Notre Dame in the Big Ten?
I do. I think it's time. I think they should have done it a while ago. I mean, I don't like Notre Dame, but like, it just makes so much sense on every level. Geography, the academic standing, the built-in rivalries that are already there with schools like Michigan State, Michigan. It just,
I feel like they had their shot and they should be left for dead.
I don't hate on anybody who feels that way, but it's good for me. It's good for the Big Ten, I think, especially if you're going to this super conference. But the point I was going to make was that when you're talking about recruiting with these other big time brands, these other big time schools who are clearly willing to play ball in the world of NIL and pay for play, you're suddenly going to have Michigan in the same conference with schools who are willing to do it in a way that Michigan simply is not. And there's like 7 of them, 5 or 6 or 7 of them. You've got Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan State, Notre Dame, USC, UCLA. That's 6 schools who are now going to be able to go toe-to-toe with you on the recruiting trail because they have good academics and good football, and also are going to do the pay-for-play NIL stuff to the nth degree. That's something that needs to be that's hopefully being talked about right now, because it's not that far away. And when you start having to go against schools like that when they're in your own conference, that could be trouble, man. That's one of those things down the line that we've talked about. These ripple effects you're not going to see them right away, but they're coming, man. They're out there.
Well, I think that's why people have such a
Washington,
hard time.
Oregon would be 2 more too if they end up joining as well.
Right. But I think that's why people have such a hard time with like some of the complaints or sounding the alarm or raising the red flag or whatever, is because it isn't something that's going to happen right away. So people aren't, a lot of people, it's down the road. You don't have to worry about it. It's out of sight, out of mind. But the reason why we're bringing it up now is because, we know that USC and UCLA are going to join the conference. And if Michigan does start to fall behind in recruiting, you're not going to notice it this year in 2023. It's going to be something you see happen over the next few years. And the point is, you just want to see Michigan be able to step up to the plate and fend that off and change their philosophy or change their messaging so that 3 years from now, people aren't asking, why is Michigan struggling to recruit?
Yeah. Well, I changed my name real quick to answer Sean's question right here. I mean, like, if my name was spelled that way, wouldn't you think that's weird as hell? Why are we giving Sean Bennett a pass with all those N's in his name? I mean, what are we doing here, dude?
He doesn't have a choice over that. Like, he chose it.
I'm just messing with Sean because he's asked some really good questions here tonight. And this one gets me so geeked up, dude. I tweeted about this the other day. I'm not even really worried about the second half of his question.
I don't even care what it means for the players. It's all about what it means for me.
Care. I frankly do not give a shit about what it means for the players making money. The fact that this is the last July that we will not be on the sticks playing NC Dub makes me so happy and so excited, except for we're not going to be able to call it NC Dub anymore, because I don't think the NCAA is going to be part of the branding or anything that it is.
It's college football.
Forward. But anyway, EA Sports college football, whatever they want to call it, will be here. Like at this time next year, we'll be in consoles across the country. And dude, I could not be more excited about that. My son will be about 3.5 years old by then. He'll be able to sit down and watch daddy play on the sticks. And by the time he's old enough to jump on, he'll be ready to roll, dude. This was such a part of my life from the time I was in like middle school to high school on until 2013 or 14, whenever the game was discontinued, that I just can't explain how excited I am for it to be back, dude.
No, it was, I mean, I played, I don't know if I told you this story, but I played sports in high school. And I remember when it was the PS2 that came out and the graphics were all different and the helmets looked shiny. Like, we skipped out after school, ran to the next town over so we could play the demo, and then showed up for basketball practice late because we were so excited to see the graphics. That game has been a big part of, like you said, my childhood growing up, being able to play college football. And so to have that back, I think fans are excited, man. That's the only reason I bought a PlayStation to begin with, was to play that game. And since that game hasn't been out, guess what? I haven't purchased one. So now I got to go out. And I'm going to have to buy one off the street because you can't even get one in the stores. Does anybody have access to a PlayStation? What do they call it now? PlayStation 4?
It's PS5.
PS5. Okay. If anybody has access to a PS5, hook us up.
Yeah, hook your boy up. I'm an Xbox guy personally. I'll take the Xbox Series X. I'm ready. I'm ready to drop half a ticket on one of those, dude, and have it ready to roll for next July when the game comes out. Dude, I am ready. Dude, this is going back, I don't know how, probably from the time I was 15 or 16 when I would go to Meyer. If you're a Midwest guy, if you're a Michigan guy, I would go to Meyer, get that thing at midnight, dude, when it hit the shelves, and there'd be, 3 or 4 other degenerates there waiting to get it, and you'd go home. And, dude, I would burn through a whole season on my Dynasty and be on season 2 or 3 by like 4 days in.
Just winning Heisman's left and right.
Winning Heisman's, dude, winning the title, signing new contracts. And then when online gaming became more of a thing, then you're downloading the rosters and you've got the names on there. Dude, it was...
I may never see my family again when this game comes out. I might just lock myself in the room, and that's just what I do.
I can't wait. And I hope it's good. I hope it's I mean, it's going to be better.
It's going to be, listen, it's going to be the big house. They're going to have the Jordan uniforms. They're going to have the decals, the Jordan cleats. It's going to be clean. You know it's going to be clean.
It's going to be sick. All right, Chris, update us all. Cody says we better be getting that RV deal. What's the latest?
I am continuing to work on this RV deal. My plan is that we will be in it every away game. We will broadcast from it. You will see us, hopefully rolling up in cities all across the Midwest and East Coast in this RV. But yes, we definitely need it. So again, PlayStations, RVs, we're basically taking it all. If you guys can help us out, hook it up. Yes, there will obviously be a winged helmet NCAA football tournament. That will happen. We'll do it for some prizes, some giveaways. Speaking of which, we have a big giveaway coming up on Sunday, by the way. People, for that Donovan Edwards jersey, don't forget the Instagram account. But yes, we will be doing NCAA football.
I'm not even talking tournament. I'm talking several of our most loyal homies jumping in, and now we have an online dynasty that I'll be sending a DM. Cody, play your freaking game, dude. We want to advance the week. What do you
need to go? Yeah.
Put the kids to bed. I don't care what you got going on this weekend with the wife. Play your game against Tulane and let's get it moving.
I mean, dude, look at us with the headsets. We're already ready. Look at us.
That's where I'm going to be at. That's where I'm going to be at with that, and I cannot wait. I love my son, but he's gonna have to figure things out on himself for a while between like age 3 to 7.
Sorry, buddy.
When he's old enough to hold a controller and know what's going on, I'll start interacting with him again. But I'm excited for that to come out, dude. Like I can't, like I said, it was every year, probably from the time I was about 15 or 16 when I could drive, go up there at midnight, get the game, play it till I couldn't see, and then in college it was, year 25 of a dynasty or whatever it was with my roommates and just
Brad Nessler and Kirk Herbstreit, dude, going for it on 4th down and Kirk Herbstreit just being angry as hell.
Couldn't believe it.
It was phenomenal.
Couldn't believe it. Yeah. So that's going to be interesting to see if there's cross-platform. I doubt. Well, I don't know. I mean, like all the big online games now are all cross-platform. You can play Xbox versus PS5 versus PC. I mean, like Fortnite and some of the other big PUBG and is Call of Duty that way too? I think it is.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
But
anyway, I'm sure out of all the people that are interested in what we do, we can get a big enough group on both platforms to go all in. So we'll see what that's like. I mean, it's a year away, dude. I'm feeling like I'm going to pick the game up tonight.
Yeah,
just talking about it.
It's going to be incredible. It's going to be a celebration. It's going to be. I
got to settle down a little bit. I got to change my name back too because that double N thing is just obnoxious. There we go. All right, we're coming up on an hour, man.
Holy shit! I didn't even realize. I haven't even been looking at the clock.
That's what we do. We fill an hour like it's going out of style.
Let's get a few more of these in. The people have been active. They've been asking. Let's get a couple more of these in before we sign
If
out.
anybody else has any more questions to take us on out here, launch them off and we'll get to them and then we'll start wrapping this baby up. But I mean, excited for Friday. This Sunday giveaway. I don't even know if I knew about this, dude. What's this Sunday?
Well, so we're trying to listen, people know the Instagram account got hacked, stolen, taken away. We at about 11,000 followers, pretty close to it. So I've had to restart the Instagram page to incentivize people to come back and refollow. Going to be giving away a Donovan Edwards jersey from our interview and photo shoot back in February. And so, go there, follow the Instagram page. If you're a follower on the Instagram page, you're automatically entered, whether you're new, old follower. If you're a follower there, you're entered to win, and then we'll give it away on Sunday. So
nice. Okay.
Come on back, man. Come on back. We need to get those numbers up.
Good question here from AJ, as it is approaching here within the next 2 weeks. Big Ten Media Day scheduled for July 26th and 27th in Indianapolis. Chris and I will be there with bells on. We're ready to roll on that. Looks like Michigan is on the 26th with Harbaugh closing it out. I think he's done that just about every year. He's been the last coach to speak. They always have him go last on one day. They have Ryan Day go last on the other day. It's Michigan. It's Ohio State.
They know what they're doing. Mel Tucker's not going last.
Jim Harbaugh is going 12:30 to 12:45 on the 26th. And then the Michigan student athletes actually kick it off at the podium at 1:15. So you've got Harbaugh and the players basically back to back, which is cool.
Did we get a player list who they're sending along?
They have not. They have not sent that information out yet.
Who would you think? Let's ask.
I was just gonna say
3 players, right? 3. 3 guys?
3 players is what they typically send. Last year it was Aiden Hutchinson, Hassan Haskins, and Josh Ross. So typically seniors, typically guys who are obviously going to play a big role in what's going on. If I had to guess for this year, I think one of them will be Ronnie Bell.
Yep.
I think one of them
you know
will
who it
be.
Come on.
I don't think it's going to be Cade, dude.
You don't think Cade gets the nod?
Nope, I don't. I don't think it's going to be Cade. I'm trying to think. Maybe a Hayes or a Keegan, one of those senior offensive linemen from a very accomplished group last year, played a lot of football. I just don't, like Blake Corum, but he's not a senior. I don't think they would send him.
Yeah.
Even though he's really good. Maybe Eric All. I don't know. He's not as quite as talkative as the rest, but neither was Hassan Haskins. I mean, Hassan Haskins doesn't talk a lot. So I don't know. I think Ronnie Bell is right there.
I think Darren got it. I'm going with Cade, Mozzie Smith.
Mozzie is good in that role as well.
And then who the hell was my third?
You think Cade? You said Cade.
I think Cade's going. I think Cade's going to be there for sure. I think it's Cade. I think it's Mozzie Smith. Yeah, maybe even Jake Moody. The sledgehammer. Get the sledge in there. Top kicker.
Been a minute since we had a sledgehammer drop.
And Ronnie Bell. Ronnie Bell, I think, will be there as well. So,
I think Ronnie Bell is a lock. I think a lineman.
Bell, Cade, Mozzie.
I just don't know which one. Ryan Hayes is up there. Zinner's only a junior, so I don't think it would be him. I don't think they would send Olu because he's new, even though he's like a 5th-year guy that right tackles. I think it'd be either Ryan Hayes or Trevor Keegan as senior guys who are pretty much a lock to start and have already played a lot of football. Ronnie Bell. And that third one's a wild card a little bit. Let me ask you this, Chris. Let me ask you this.
Did they dare? Go ahead.
If they don't send Cade, what does that mean?
I don't know, man. I think it's telling. I think, the guy led Michigan to 12 wins, beat Ohio State, won a Big Ten championship. He's coming back. For him not to be, but I don't know what goes into it. So I don't want to speculate and read too much. If he's not there, it must mean that, they don't have the utmost confidence in him. I think he's going to start. So I don't think it's going to say anything. Whether or not he's there or not, I think he starts week 1.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a great story.
Yeah, it's a good question.
That's a great question. Yeah, there it is. That's the one.
It's a question. Do I have that? There it is.
Oh, that's a great question.
That is a great. Thank you, Andrew Luck. Yeah, that's an interesting.
What do you think it? Do you think it says something specifically about the situation at quarterback? Or
I do. I think if your senior quarterback who won a Big Ten last year is not at media day this year, that's telling. That means something. I do.
I feel that way too. But then, are we just being dickheads? Are we overthinking it? Looking too much into it?
Cade is 100. He's got more than 1 year of eligibility left, but he will be a senior this year.
Correct.
Academically.
Like
4th year in the program.
Right.
Yeah, dude. I think if he's not one of the 3, I think that does say something. I do. And I'm not trying to stir the pot, but I mean, he just won the Big Ten last year as your starting quarterback, and he's now a senior, and he's not there. Why? What's that all about, Jim? Huh?
Yeah, Jim. Well, you'll have the chance to ask
I'll
him
ask
in
him.
Indy. You'll ask him. Yeah, Jim.
Well, Jim, if picking the players you were going to bring was like an onion, you had to peel away the layers. Why wasn't Cade one of the layers?
Did we ever talk about that on the pod?
Gene Wojciechowski's question? I feel like we did.
We had to.
Didn't we?
Man, he got dissed by Harbaugh. Holy
that Ohio State week, if you missed that, just go to YouTube and Google Harbaugh, Gene Wojciechowski, Ohio State week. He was asking, how Gene does those pregame emotional things. Jim. He was trying to get some sound bites out of Harbaugh. It's ironic. I just watched that the other day and it was hilarious. Jim was not interested in giving him a damn thing. And here's one of the things I thought was interesting. Harbaugh said he wasn't interested. He's not the kind of guy that likes to pontificate in things that happened 35 years ago. Are you kidding me? Come on. This is a guy, he talks about Bo Schembechler all the time, talks about, Michigan football and tape. This guy, you can't use that as example. You don't like to talk about the past?
Yeah, I'm not buying that. I think he just didn't like his question.
Yeah, Gene.
Oh, there we
get
go.
That on a drop.
Let's end on that note right there. The unfortunate passing of Gary Moeller, former head coach at Michigan. You know, I mean, there was a lot of people out there that put out a lot of good things about him. Former players, Jim Harbaugh himself put out a quote and a statement. I can't remember. I don't really want to like speculate on this. I don't know if this was like super unexpected. Chris, I mean, did we, I know like both him and Lloyd Carr, haven't been in the greatest health over the last couple of years, but certainly certainly a bummer to see that, former head coach at Michigan passed away. And I think everybody, everybody who was a fan of Michigan during those days just feels a little bit, feels some kind of way when a guy like that passes away. And so a lot of good things said about him over the last few days. And anytime someone respected, dies, it's sad. It's a sad thing. I mean, that's a little bit before my time, in terms of like being a fan and really remembering watching him on the sidelines and stuff, but, was there for a really, really long time, had some really good years at Michigan. And unfortunate that he no longer with us, but there's lots of stuff out there. You can go read about his legacy and what he was at Michigan, what kind of record he had. And, there's for a lot of people who are like not much older than you and I, Chris, that's what they came up on was the Gary Moeller years. For me, I'm trying to remember, when was his last year that he coached? We put that in the article, I know, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm not exactly.
Was it late 80s? Was it like 89? Or was it later than that?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure when it was.
Looking, I'm sure somebody else probably has that faster than I can look it up. But yeah, that was unfortunate. You never like to.
Here's what I noticed. Here's what I noticed is that you could see from the articles and what people were saying on social media, some of the current, guys on the coaching staff at the University of Michigan who were either coached by him or coached with him or played alongside him. Everybody seemed to have good things to say about him and fond memories about, what a humble guy he was. Obviously, the record speaks for itself at the University of Michigan. Did really well while he was here. But I think overall, he was a good guy. And that's what I took out of his passing, is that a lot of people had a lot of positive things to say. And that's all any of us can hope. You hope that when your time finally comes, they're not writing articles about what an asshole you were.
So right? I was wrong. He finished at Michigan in 94. So we were 10. So that was kind of during our formative years a bit. I mean, I don't know, Chris, you can speak to this for yourself. What age do you think you were really like, you're starting to make memories about Michigan football and really kind of paying attention to what they're doing?
It was the Lloyd Carr era. It was A-Train, Anthony Thomas. It was big shoulder pads. It was the visor. It was like, the Michigan linebackers looked like they were wearing refrigerators for shoulder pads. I just remember they looked like giants out there. And then watching Lloyd Carr, like one of the things I remember coming up and watching Lloyd Carr work the sideline, and he would get in somebody's ass or get angry. And I just grew up on that, and I love that era of Michigan football. And that's, that was when Michigan they were bullies in the Big Ten. They shoved everybody around, and that's kind of how I always view Michigan, is they always should be pushing people around and bullying other people in the Big Ten.
Yeah, he won the Big Ten championship 3 times, was 2 times the Big Ten Coach of the Year. So, really productive career at Michigan. And yeah, finished in 94. I thought it was earlier than that, but that is right around the time when I started, you're 10, 11, 12 years old.
Yeah.
When you're starting to really pay attention to the team that you like. And Coach Desmond Howard in the early 90s, obviously, for his Heisman campaign. You can see people on here saying that he kind of revolutionized the really old school 3 yards in a cloud of dust type of thing that Bo had going on. I mean, if you've got a wide receiver winning the Heisman Trophy for you, obviously you're doing something a little different in the late 80s, early 90s. So shout out to that whole era of Michigan football under Coach Gary Moeller. And sad that we had to, put up an announcement about him passing away. It's never fun. Never fun to do that. So there you go. Good way to end the show there on a nice note, remembering Gary Moeller. Chris, I'm excited as hell about Friday. I
was going to say, I'm excited, but I'm a little terrified. I'm a little scared.
A little terrified.
Listen, how about this? I will say, I can't do it.
Oh, you did that.
I'll give it away. It's just, you'll see Friday.
Yeah.
We want Whoopi. Listen, I
Gotta get her
messaged her.
on.
I messaged her and Oprah, and I have not heard back. But when I do, rest assured, you guys will be the first to know.
Did you see that people were requesting 2 shows a week, dude, right now?
I saw that. We can't do 2 shows a week. It's hard enough to – do you know what it's like to try to wrangle us 2 guys together on a Wednesday at the same time every week?
But look, I think that speaks to the fact that we're actually putting something decent out there because there's
coming.
not a lot going on right now.
Listen, the only time we're doing 1 a week now is because it's the off season. Look, come fall, we're doing 4 shows a week in the fall. You'll be all right. Trust me, you're going to be sick of seeing us in the fall.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, post-game Saturday during the season. We'll be there.
Post-game Saturday. On location. In the building.
Yeah, you're going to get a lot of us. I mean, it's what we did. It's what we did last year. Nothing new.
Yeah.
We're excited about it. Keep it locked. Keep it freaking locked for Friday. I'm super pumped about what we're going to be able to do. Even Friday, though, I don't like how much are we going to be able to do until August 1st anyways, right?
Right. That's really – it's coming.
It's coming.
50 what? 50 days?
50-some days of the season. Yeah, something like that. 53, 55. Anyway. Thanks for listening, everybody. Really great interaction.
Yes, thank you
audience
very
today.
much.
Super pumped about that. And
They
we'll be
always
back.
come
Maybe we'll do an impromptu show this weekend, depending on what happens on Friday. But definitely we'll be back again on Wednesday. So thanks for being here, everybody. We'll see you soon.